The boy's fingers tore at the wildflower's roots when the screaming started. Not human screams, the birds. A shrill, feathered panic as they exploded from the trees. Then, silence. Cheek from SS-1A froze. His green checkered uniform clung to his bony frame, damp with sudden sweat. The air turned thick, rancid with the stench of wet hay and rotting meat. His stomach lurched. An A+ in agriculture was not worth this much. He didn't even have any interest in becoming a farmer. He just liked his report card, without the blemish of a B+. Something dripped behind him, a wetness over his shoulder and then splatter on his thick frames. He turned just as the first string of hot saliva struck his naked neck. Burning. The drool sizzled against his skin like acid. Not the kind that would fry you in an instant, but a sizzle nonetheless, like hair relaxer staying too long. The thing stood so close he could count the yellow teeth in its sideways jaws, each one as long as his fingers and as wide as his palm. Before him, a bull-like monster the size of a literal truck salivated. Its breath smelled of half-digested grass and something else. Something sweet. Oh God, that's blood, Chike ran. His two big sneakers slapped against the hard earth as his mother's voice echoed with the famous African truth. You will grow into it. Behind him, the ground quaked. Each footfall, a small earthquake. Closer, closer. He should have never gone this deep into the school farm. He already got 15 of the 20 plants they were to gather for their coursework. A B+ should have been fine for just one assignment. But no. He had to get it all, and now he was too deep in the thick of it. His ankle caught on a root, breaking him out of all the thoughts that tumbled through his head as he tumbled through the marsh. The impact knocked the air from his lungs. He flipped onto his back just as the jaws yawned wide, a wet tunnel of palpitating flesh, strings of mucus stretching between jagged teeth. The bite came down like a bear trap. Crunch. White heat exploded through his leg as the molars found his knee. He heard the pop before he felt it, tendons snapping like rubber bands. A sneaker tore free, spinning through the air as he thrashed. From the teeth marks punched deep into the sole, this shoe just might have saved his foot. The second bite took him at the waist. Cheek had time to register the texture, the rasp of a sandpaper tongue against his ribs, before the throat muscles rippled and sucked him down into the dark. Above ground, the half-eaten sneaker landed with a soft thud. Deep in the monster's gut, a muffled wail echoed, and then the night was silent. The staff room reeked of instant coffee and stale panic. Headmaster Pius gripped the lectern like he wanted to strangle it, his starched collar digging into his sweat-slick neck. The missing boy's file lay open before him, smiling school photo glaring up like an accusation. It's the governor's son. How did this happen? Who let this happen? By dawn tomorrow, Pius said through clenched teeth, that child better be sitting in class with nothing worse than grass stains, or this school will be a smoking crater by lunch. Call the police, CID, EFFC, MOPOL. If they fight crime or find missing people, I want them here. Mr. Ike, the chemistry teacher, nodded and reached for his phone. It will be taken care of, sir. We will find him. The phone began to ring. In no time, most of the law enforcement agents in the town were in ICE Unity School trying to earn the governor's favor. A perimeter had been mapped out with tapes, like in the movies. And even when the evening came, floodlights were awake to illuminate the scene. In the midst of all the badges and uniforms, the Secret League's forensic team worked gathered intel, sending real-time information from their AR glasses to the League's HQ. Shoe trainer, size 6 with what looks like bite marks. The AI assistant in the glasses scanned the teeth marks, cross-referenced with their database of images, and responded with a pop-up. Are you seeing this HQ? Might have to call Kay and Ash on this one. Prefect Ash was peering into a petri dish in her lab, while the room hummed with the sound of experiments, spinning centrifuges, bubbling of distilling liquids, and a cacophony of other noises. If their phone was not on vibrate in her pocket, she might have even missed it. Prefect Ash here, please tell me it's an important call. I'm trying to distill a new compound here. Well, I'm sure that is very important Nobel-winning work, but right now we have a code black situation. Great. That's 2 colors away from red. Perhaps a junior prefect would be better suited. The man from HQ was silent for a second. Well, yeah, but this involves a KPI. Ash responded. I'm sure I've met my numbers for the quarter already. Key person of interest, not key performance indicator. You should have said VIP then. She adjusted her glasses, pushing the connector on his nose bridge. Ash, I don't call the shots. This file landed on my desk and yourself and Kay have been specifically requested for. It's signed by the head prefect. There was a long pause from both ends. Fine, I'll come in. I take it you will be contacting Kay too because I'm not calling him. Before the man on the phone could convince her to make the call instead, she pressed the red icon. Yeah, Kay is your problem. She went back to peering into the microscope. The military barrack was a mess in the heavy rain, but that didn't stop the drill sergeants from doing their drills. 100 push-ups, fat boys, let's go. Kay thought his arms were already made of spaghetti, and not the hard type either. He muttered 8-4 under his breath as he pushed through the pain. No push-ups, no food. Why do I see people stopping? This was when Kay's phone vibrated and then rang out. Even in the rain, one could hear the silence that followed. One of you brought your phone with you? The drill sergeant barked. The group with him weren't really men and women of the army. These were mainly players in the private security sector, coming over for training and certification to boost their personal services. I'm sorry, sir, this is my emergency-only phone. If it's ringing, it means someone is about to die. Yeah, and if you answer it, you're not graduating from this set. Rules, and we said no phones. Kay looked at the screen to see the words. Code black. Respond now. Orders from head boy. I guess I'll be back later to finish this then. Kay picked the call and stepped under the dinning mess's roof. This had better be good, HQ. He allowed the man on the other end of the phone speak at length, and then send him some files. When the man was done, Ash sighed. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Wouldn't hurt if you send a jet. Surely the governor can make that happen. The next morning, Ash and Kay were at the League's HQ waiting in the briefing room, which was mostly space, a projector screen, and 4 single chairs to sit on. I thought it was a joke when I asked for a plane. These governors really move fast when they feel like it. You got here on a plane. Kay, the League needs money for more important things. Like what? More AI research, monster cellular studies, new weapons, and what does it matter? It's being paid for from our national cake. The door swung open to reveal the HQ's senior prefect, also known as the voice on the phone. Senior Osas, you can't just get Kay a jet to fly him here because he asked you to. Yes, but he was training with the army in Nasarawa and I couldn't risk it by road. Not that it matters. The Enugu state governor isn't only paying for everything regarding this mission. He is offering pretty much our 1-year budget if we succeed at this. So if you are done with your sibling bickering, we can start the brief now before the head boy gets me fired. We are in a time bomb situation with a whole day already lost. The pair sat down and Osa started the briefing, turning on the projector. We know the boy was attacked around 6 p.m. Tuesday, and from the teeth marks on his sneakers, we can guess it's some type of giant herbivore. The projector flickered to life with the image of a half-eaten Nike shoe and the model of a herbivore's dentition. The senior continued. We didn't find any traces of blood, well, at least human blood. We found some digestive enzymes consistent with herbivore saliva. Ruminant class beast, common name the Great Ruminator. Ash didn't look up from her tablet, where the Encyclopedia Monstrorum displayed a gape-mouthed bovine skull. 4 stomach chambers. Full digestion takes 72 hours, which gives us about another 24 hours before the regurgitation for mastication. She zoomed in on the rendering of a pulsing, mucus-lined reticulum. The governor's kid is currently being pre-chewed, just bathing in enzymes to prep him. Kay, still in army fatigues from his interrupted drills, giggled at the word mastication. So we're playing fetch with a cow now. The projector flickered again as the screen changed, casting a hoofprint shadow across the wall, wider than a dinner plate and about as long as a man's arm. Ah! Kay's grin died. A giant demon cow. Ash's fingers flew across her keyboard. Ruminators swallow prey whole for later regurgitation, like an owl pellet, but the screen updated with a 3D simulation of a humanoid shape dissolving in green acid, with more screaming. We can't let him make it back to the mouth, let alone the second chamber, which is super acidic. When we update the Bible, this is certainly going to be the new Jonah and the whale, Kay said. HQ's senior prefect tossed 2 student ID badges onto the table. You're transferring to Ice Bright Secondary School. Mr. Ike, the chemistry teacher, is our embedded agent. He handed out 2 dossiers with the pair's fake identity. Kay flipped open his and groaned, "Son of a beverage distributor from Onitsha? Why can't I ever be the genius scholarship kid? This is getting old." Ash grinned, which was a rarity in itself. Without another word, she pinned her prefect badge to her blazer, and instantly, its ancient magic began to morph her 18-year-old frame into the chubby 15-year-old she once was. In response to Kay's question, she replied, "Because geniuses," she said as her bones cracked into a younger frame, "don't giggle at the word massication." Outside, a car horn blared. "TikTok prefects, a child's life depends on you. We cannot let the chewing begin." The gates of Icebright School loomed like prison bars as they approached the high fence designed to keep boarding pupils and apparently monsters in. I remember wishing the school would have been on fire every time I saw the gates after a holiday or even midterm break. Kay smiled. "I remember looking forward to resuming. We didn't have a lab or library at home," Ash countered. Ash adjusted her new uniform, a stiff white polyester shirt under a navy blue pinafore, reeking of starch and false identity. The league's pin prickled against her collarbone, its camouflage magic humming beneath her skin. Beside her, Kay cracked his knuckles, already looking like he'd been expelled twice before lunch. "Remember," Ash muttered, "we're here to eat chalk and get swallowed by a demon cow," Kay finished. "Got it." The whispers started before they reached the administration block, even before they got to the Mr. Ike's lab to check in. "Heard it ripped Chika clean in half." "No, it dissolved him like those frogs in chemistry. They only found 1 shoe." "Misha, I know once my parents hear about this, I'm gone from this school." A hulking senior blocked their path, his grin all crooked teeth and cruelty. "Fresh meat for the grinder," he sneered, breath reeking of cheap candy. "You'll last till Thursday, maybe." Kay opened his mouth, probably to ask if the grinder accepted meal plans, when the first bell screamed through the courtyard. Mr. Ike's chemistry classroom smelled of bleach and secrets. Beakers bubbled with liquids too iridescent to be curriculum approved, and an exploded sample volcano sat by the corner too. "You're late," he said without turning, polishing a glass tube that looked suspiciously like a rifle barrel. Ash went straight to the steel cabinet. "We need the AP7s fully stacked." "Allez, relax first, you just come." "Excuse my runner's enthusiasm. They are always like that," Ash interjected. "I used to be one too. Don't worry, Scribe Ash, I understand." Mr. Ike moved to a cabinet. "I have something smaller already prepped for recon." Beneath the carcasses of some frogs, twin pistols rested, their transparent reservoirs filled with viscous blue and liquid. Lopramide cocktail in the left chamber, antacid rounds in the right. It won't do much, but it should at least let you crawl out of the belly of the beast if you get eaten. I've been there before. Try not to get eaten. Please say that again for my runner prefect. This is a quick recon to an all-out war, Ash said. Kay laughed and hefted his gun. What's the payload? About 12 rounds, 6 for each drug, so yeah, shoot sparingly. Ash's eyes hovered over the lab test tubes, pipette stands, round bottom flasks, and other casual school apparatus waited on desks. Might be a lot to ask, but could you put together something for us? An emesis bomb. Mr. Ike squinted as his bushy brows furrowed. What exactly do you have in mind? I'm thinking a mixture of ethanol and disulfiram in a starch base. You are really as smart as advertised. Very clever. I can have that ready for this evening. The AP backpack shooter will also be ready. Kay wanted to say something else, but the blast of the assembly bell was quick to interrupt. You have about 45 minutes until people are back in class, and they love a morning attendance roll call here. Mr. Ike tossed Kay a red cape. Hopefully you won't be needing this for a recon mission, but if you do, ruminators like bulls are attracted to red. Kay tied on the red sheet of cloth in a double knot by his neck. I didn't have becoming Superman on my bingo card this year. Why do you think the Ruminator attacked the boy? Aren't they supposed to be herbivores? Ash asked. My guess, he was in his green boarding house where the Ruminator probably thought he was some new type of plant it needed to taste. Mr. Ike checked his leather-strapped watch. You're losing time. The pair slipped away vaguely, catching a wind of the principal's droning safety lecture over the assembly loudspeakers. Avoid wooded areas. They had since studied the school map and committed it to memory, a task Kay somehow managed to best Ash at. She could repeat the sketch by heart, but somehow, when it came to moving, she struggled to put a "you are here" pin on herself, often leaving her disoriented. Ash, on the other hand, seemed to hold a complete radar system in his head. You better stay behind. I don't need to add a missing prefect to my to-do list. Ash teased. Spatial intelligence is different from... Save the lecture, Professor. I didn't learn it the last 100 times you tried to explain. And you wonder why you are never the genius child on a scholarship. They carried on in a friendly parry of words, excusing themselves as new students when the odd teacher asked why they were heading away from the direction of the assembly. At last, they were at the farm, where 2 policemen armed with M16 slept at their guard post. We should always have tranquilizers. Even Solid Sankey in Metal Gear Solid has his diazepam gun, Kay whispered. Well, this is not a video game and they are already asleep. From how one sat with his mouth agape, a string of drool tracing down his beard, Ash assumed they were probably exhausted from the night watch. For something so serious, she thought they should have worked shifts. It was impressive enough that they didn't just delegate this to one of the school security guards. The farm started like most, vegetable at the edge, tomatoes, peppers, red and yellow, okra, and others. Kay's poor culinary skills would not let him identity. As they made their way deeper, corn stalks began to emerge, and then finally they walked past the first tree. Oh, it's a whole forest now, Kay said. Yep, lots of these schools get these ridiculous plots of land they can never build out. Because what could go wrong? They can turn the rest into farmers and hope students never wander off. Hoofprints spotted, Kay blurted. Shh, you're going to get us killed. Ash shooshed him. Following the hoofprints that gouged the marshy ground, the trail led to the agriculture plot. Rows of corn stalks trampled into the mud, leaves glistening with saliva. Ash crouched, gloved fingers brushing a half-digested textbook page. Human Biology. Chapter 3. The Digestive System. Irony tasted bitter on her tongue. A twig snapped. The Ruminator stood maybe 10 paces away, its obsidian horns dripping with sap and something darker. 4 yellow eyes rolled in their sockets, pupils slitting at the sight of them. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then its third stomach gurgled. Kay went pale. Is that... A muffled scream echoed from inside the beast. Alive, he's still alive in there. The monster charged straight at Kay, all eyes fixed on the red cape he had brought along for a distraction. Split, I'll be okay. Ash ran in the opposite direction, and to her partial relief, the beast chose to pursue Matador Kay. Kay showed himself to be every bit the runner prefect he was decorated with, sprinting in a zigzag pattern to confuse the Ruminator. With its weight, maneuvers was definitely going to be a problem, and he was counting on a weak endurance too. Respirating for all those muscles had to take a toll. The thing was the size of an entire truck, and the ground shook with its steps, sending birds scattering in flight. After about 300 meters of zigzagging, it was obvious he had put some distance, enough to spin and offload 3 shots of the L.O.P. It didn't require the skills of a marksman to hit the Ruminator this close, and if anything, Kay's shot connecting with one of the 4 eyes was a mistake. But it was a good one nonetheless. Typically, he would have wanted to an intramuscular delivery system, and he managed that with 2 shots to the torso. The bullseye shot was his savior, though. In its pain, the Ruminator let out a screech, sure to meet every corner of the school walls, and maybe a bit beyond. As if on command, Kay tossed the red cape, not wanting a beast this angry on his tail. He didn't stop running, though. He barely even looked back. When he made it out to the place with the vegetables, the police officers in their M16 and tactical gear were waiting with guns raised, while Ash stood behind them with nervousness that poured from her eyes. "Are you mad?" the bigger of the 2 officers shouted. Kay and Ash found themselves in the headmaster's office, the smell of lemon polish and barely contained fury clogging the air. "On your knees," Headmaster P.S hissed. "Hands where I can see them." Ash and Kay exchanged a glance as they knelt on the cracked linoleum. Behind Headmaster P.S, a mounted buffalo head glared down with glassy eyes, its muzzle twisted in what looked like eternal pain. "You were explicitly told to avoid the agriculture plot. Were you even at the assembly this morning?" P.S.'s fist came down on his desk, sending a stapler jumping. "Do you have any idea what's out there? What could have happened to you?" Kay opened his mouth, but Ash nudged him before he get them in trouble. The door burst open before P.S could continue his tirade. Mr. Ike stood framed in the doorway, his lab coat sleeves rolled up to reveal faint silvery scars circling his wrists like teeth marks. "I'll handle this, Headmaster. There's a lot for you to attend to today. We even have the press outside wanting to know what is going on." His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with urgent meaning. "We wouldn't want parental involvement. I'll have them serve detention for a week." P.S.'s jaw worked silently before he waved them away with a snarl. "Make it 2 weeks, and next time you're both getting expelled. I don't care if you're on scholarship from Bill Gates or if Tinubu is your father." The detention room was conspicuously missing desks. Tucked away behind the chemistry lab, the supposed storage room had been converted to a makeshift armory. Crossbows with vials instead of bolts. A refrigerator humming with biohazard stickers, and a whiteboard covered in hastily erased stomach acid calculations. "I got what you asked for, Prefect Ash." Mr. Ike tossed Kay and Ash what looked like bath bombs, chalky spheres about the size of a small fist. Disulfram, ethanol, and some sodium bicarbonate base to hold it all together. A bit of cellulose as well, but that's barely an active ingredient. "So we just get it to swallow this and we are good?" Kay asked. "Yes, more or less," Mr. Ike replied. Kay looked at the one cabinet in the corner of the room. "The AP-90 is ready," Mr. Ike said. "Great, we leave at sunset. The boy doesn't have much time." "His name is Cheeky. Do you even read the files, or do you just skim through it?" Ash shook her head. "If I have to read everything, what's the point of having a scribe prefect with me?" Kay smiled. "And while we're at it, do you have a plan yet?" It was Ash's turn to smile. "Yes, I do. And it involves you almost getting killed." "When doesn't it?" Kay reached for the AP-90, balancing the payload tank on his back and adjusting the pressure shooter on both arms. "Makes me feel like Rambo every time." The Ruminator slept in a crater of its own making, its massive sides rising and falling like a bellows pumping poison. Its breath stank of half-digested grass and something darker, something human. Kay moved like a shadow through the trampled cornfield, unspooling the carbon wire behind him. The filament was thinner than spider silk, stronger than steel. It glinted under the moonlight as he looped it around the beast's tree trunk legs, his fingers steady despite the sweat slicking his palms. "Wire set," He whispered into the radio, static. Then Ash's voice tight with anticipation, lighting it up. Kay raised the AP-90 already set to fire from the tranquilizer cartridge. The dart left the barrel with a soft hiss and punched into the Ruminator's flank. The beast's eyes snapped open, all four of them, and on cue, a flare exploded overhead, bathing the field in hellish red. The Ruminator roared, its pupils contracting to slits as it locked onto Ash's silhouette in the distance. It lunged, and the carbon wire sang as it went taut. Tendons popped as the beast crashed face first into the dirt, its own momentum strangling the blood supply to its legs. It thrashed, jaws gnashing, but the tranquilizers were already flooding its veins. Its eyelids fluttered, its breath slowed, then collapse. The mouth yawned open, a wet cave of teeth and dangling spit. Kay didn't hesitate. He dropped the heavy AP-90, which would have been too heavy for what he was about to do, strapped on his headlamp, double-checked to make sure the MS's bomb was with him, and then crawled inside the beast. The throat was a living tunnel, pulsing slowed by the loperamide shots from earlier. Stomach acid sloshed around Kay's boots as he waded deeper, the beam of his light catching on half-dissolved textbooks, a melted shoe, bones that weren't animal. He spared no shot of the antacids in every direction. Then, a whimper. Cheek was curled in the reticulum chamber, his uniform eaten away, his skin blistered with chemical burns. Alive, barely. Found him, Kay radioed, gagging on the stench. Prepping extraction. He slapped the emesis bomb onto the stomach wall. The chalky drug instantly began to fizz as it bonded with the flesh, flooding the system with the active ingredients. 5 seconds to blow, hang on, Chaik. Swoosh. The Ruminator's body convulsed and its throat surged. Kay and Cheeky came flying out in a tidal wave of bile and half-digested slop, skidding across the mud just as the school security arrived, flashlights cutting through the dark. Headmaster Pius stood frozen, his face a mask of horror. Mr. Ike stepped forward, his voice low and calm. African bull elephant, extremely rare. Must have escaped from a private zoo. He flashed a badge so official looking it could have been forged by the League itself. We'll handle disposal. Ash was already on the phone. Zoo lab team en route. Tell them to bring a big crate. Chica coughed, spat, then looked up at Kay with wide, traumatized eyes. I failed my agriculture coursework, didn't I? Kay grinned. Probably, buddy, but you aced survival.